Welcome to this episode of A Day in a Life as a Real Estate Agent. I'm Todd Sachs, I'm your host, and I've been dedicated to serving the real estate industry since 1989. And today I'm happy to have with me real estate rock star Rachel Smith. And I'm really excited to talk with her. And guys, nothing has been planned here. I shot a couple questions over just a few days ago. And so this is going to be raw. It's going to be real. And I think you're going to love Rachel. Rachel, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So who is Rachel Smith?
Who is Rachel Smith? First and foremost, I am a wife and a mother to 5 amazing children, and then real estate person right up there. I like to call myself a top producer sometimes, top producer with my 5 kids and a top producer in real estate. So there's that. But that's me. That's my life.
How long have you been licensed?
It'll be 9 years. Oh my gosh, that long? Sometimes it feels like 20. However, 9 years in June, I've been doing this game.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you've gotten your taste of it.
I do. I would like to call it a solid taste of all different markets. I'd like to think that I've had the lower end of things when it was slower. And of course, we both just experienced the last 2.5 years. And now we're seeing another shift. So
the market is shifting. So, Rachel, a lot of times when someone is thinking about being a real estate agent, there's such a low barrier to entry, right? So we see a lot of people, and I know speaking for myself, I didn't go to college. I started out as a contractor swinging a hammer very long ago. And but can you tell us a little bit about your education background?
Absolutely. Well, that actually makes 2 of us. I was not swinging a hammer. However, I dabbled in college for a little bit, but I think I was more interested in college activities, we're going to use that, versus college itself. Ended up doing dental assisting for a while. That was great. Kind of refined my skills a bit with serving people. And I said to myself, you know what? I love houses. I love people. How do we marry the two and make a living out of it? And so here we are.
So take us back. I mean, what was that moment like? When did you decide that, hey, I would take the education and become a real estate agent?
We bought our first house. Husband was a contractor. He's still doing part-time stuff with dental. But I was like, you know what? I need something that I can get out there, talk with people, engage, serve people. And hey, I think houses, they're beautiful. It would be fun. Honey, let's give this a try. I think I just had a baby. At that point, I was going to classes in person on Saturdays. I think it was like 8-hour Saturdays we did for like 10 Saturdays or something. It was crazy. And after that, got licensed and was like, all right, what do we do? And at the time, I had a great broker who was a smaller broker, doesn't really do real estate anymore. And so she kind of gave me some good tips. I think one of the tips she said was, we're going to have to toughen you up a little bit. And that she did. The real estate industry did anyways. But that was pretty much my starting factor is, hey, the husband's a contractor. We've done some remodeling stuff before. I'm good at that. Connections and resources. Let's put it all together.
Now, were you thinking, because I have a similar story. So, I started contracting before I became a licensee.
Okay.
And I remember when I got my real estate license, it was purely for selfish reasons, right? I mean, I wanted the ability, and I talk to a lot of people and they say, they get their real estate license because they want to, save the commission, right? They want to make the commission instead of paying a commission. But I felt like I was being held at bay as a builder and a contractor, and I was building, new home construction as well as doing a lot of renovations and flipping. And I felt like I was being held at bay by my agents because I was having a hard time finding good agents that I felt were, working hard enough for me.
And for the benefit of you.
Yes. For the benefit of, you're right, selling my houses. Yeah. So, and there was a short period of time in Maryland where you had to become licensed as a home builder. They squashed that pretty quick. But I remember being in class and, everybody was going around the room and they were saying like, hey, why are you getting your license? And people were like, I just love serving people and I want to just help people buy a house. And, and they got to me and I said, well, I want to be get my real estate license because I absolutely hate dealing with real estate
cut
agents.
through the red tape.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, this is ridiculous.
And then everybody was looking at me like, oh, there's that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to watch out for this
You
guy.
were honest. I tell you what, this is the one thing I've learned in real estate. I got in it because I love people, love houses. Obviously, you want to make money doing it. But I tell you what, houses is just the catalyst. It is just the product. And the foundation of your business is going to be your relationships with your clients. And until you get that down pat, and if you don't have a heart for it or an idea of, hey, I have to put these people first above my needs and wants and desires, they've chose me to represent them in one of the biggest financial transactions of their life, you have to have some type of heart and engagement to support that. If you are just in it to make a quick buck, or hey, real estate, you can make a substantial amount of money, that is true. However, it's like that poster with the tip of the iceberg, and then underneath you see it's like 3 times bigger, hey, that's how real estate is underneath, and houses are the catalyst for that.
So when you went to get your license, your intentions were to be a real estate agent.
Were to be a real estate agent to serve others. I wasn't here, hey,
not just
make
to
this
save
easier
the
with
commission.
not just to save the commission. No, not at all. I wanted to be a part of people's lives, be a part of people's decisions. And heck, I like houses too. They're pretty, they're great, and get some good design tips going in and out of houses all the time. So it all kind of came together that way. And I pretty quickly figured out, you got to work. This isn't let me just get my license and do my thing. You got to work, but it's an enjoyable work. If you have a good education system, if you have a good broker, a good support system to lay out those models and systems, I tell you what, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. There's some stress, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, you're self-employed.
Technically.
And I think a lot of people, we have a high attrition in this business. A lot of people get their license and they don't renew in 2 years. Mm-hmm. And because a lot of times they want to serve people, they want to help people, but they don't realize that you have to capitalize it like any other business. You have to come to the table with some money.
Correct.
Because there are fees and things like that. Mm-hmm. At what point when you became licensed did you realize that maybe it wasn't exactly what you thought it would be? And could you maybe even give us a specific situation where you were like, wow, this maybe wasn't exactly what I bargained for?
Well, and I think any agent may have these, I'm sure a lot of agents are every other day is, wait, do I still want to do this? Is this worth it? And in the long and short of it, yes, of course it is. I've had times where I've realized, ooh, this is a lot more driving than I thought. Or, ooh, this is a lot more being up till XYZ hours. I'm up at 4:30 doing my office work. This is a lot more time management, time budgeting. There's more involved than I thought. But I think that's in any business that you're going to try and do on your own. I think you just have to have a good lay of the land, good mentor. Got to have good energy, good vibes, and you can't give up. I think that's the one thing that I typically tell new agents that ask me, hey, what's your advice for a new agent? Don't give up. If you want it bad enough, don't give up. And you're going to see a light at the end of the tunnel. And I also tell them, hey, you get out what you put in. So if you're working that hard and you're putting in the time, the energy, and the effort and the heart, you're going to see it back out. It may not be tomorrow, it may not be next month, it may be in a year, but you're going to see it. Yeah,
well, I definitely want to get to that as far as, the advice to the agents, because, a lot of people, and as a real estate broker, I get to interview a lot of agents, and I get to talk to agents and see their struggles, right? And, it sounds like maybe you had a very good support also with your husband.
God, I will say.
Oh, amen to that, right?
Grace of God and a lot of prayer.
Right, that's good.
But yeah, I think you got to have a good support system, and just kind of educate yourself. And I think there's so many resources out there now, like your show, other things that are, hey, look, this is what it really is.
Yeah,
it's not all that bad. You got to lay out a plan and put the work in.
Yeah, I think the conversation's really, because I see so many, and a lot of it is women. I mean, the business, the real estate business back in the day was a man's business. Mm-hmm. And there were no women, right? Well, at one point, think about it. Not that long ago, we go back 50, 60 years, but the real estate industry now, I think, is probably primarily women. And, and a lot of the women that I've spoken with that are married, their spouses Sometimes there's a lot of pressure to, and I hear things like this, and I think that's why I was saying is it sounds like you have a good support system at home, because I think it's very important that anybody considering this industry that has never been self-employed before, that their spouse or significant other is on board, because I hear things like, this isn't working. You say don't quit, but then I hear the conversations on the other side where they go, you've been doing this for 6 months now. You've been spending money in fees. You're taking good money. I'm out working. The spouse is saying I'm out working, and you're spending the money and it's not coming back in. How much longer are you going to do this before you get a real job?
We've had conversations to that degree, but I am blessed to have a very strong husband that has supported me. I think where I have had, and let's get real about it, where I've seen some pushback in life per se is, I got the 5 kids, right? And they're babies, they're little babies. So doing real estate, which is a high stress industry, and having small children at home has been a very tough balance. There are times when you're going to pour a lot into real estate and then family is going to be lacking a bit, right? So then you pour more into family and then real estate's lacking. They say work-life balance, but I really don't think there is such a thing in real estate industry.
Well,
you got to pick what you feel like, right?
The clients don't want to hear that, right?
No, not at all. And so for years, and it's taken me years to get to the point where I am, and even to this day, sometimes there's times where they will go to my husband more over me, just because even with him working and building and doing everything else, he's been more of a factor because I'm gone at night. I'm gone on the weekends. I'm gone. My head, I'm in that office, even though there's a glass door and they can see me. They don't talk to me. I am in that office. I mean, I've even got a keypad thumbprint to get in, because I just don't need the interruption. So I have that type of dedication where it's like, hey, if you're good and you can support me, you help me with the kids, I'm going to get us to this level. And then, but now that what I've realized is, hey, kids grow up and you can't pause it and turn back and then put in that quality time.
Right.
So that is, you want to hear the negatives, and you got the show Real with Rachel. That's one of the reels is there's not 48 hours in the day. Although it feels like I work 48 hours in the day. You can't do it all. You really can't. So I've seen that where, hey, had a fantastic year in real estate. Now I got to take a breath and try and rebuild some quality time with the kids, with the husband. It's, it's always a push and a pull. And then when you work so hard, you get to a point where you can have, agents under you, have your own brokerage and things like that, which helps alleviate some of that stress and time consumption. But you almost do it in a different element.
Right. Yeah.
Right. You may not be out driving around the whole day, but you're in your office, you're on the phone. So I think it's a realistic expectation. Now, again, there's a great positive to that, right? You get to help people, you get to provide for yourself, you get to grow wealth, generational wealth, things of that nature. You get to help other agents, right? But there's always a tit for a tat. And I think if you can navigate around that and deal with it, for lack of a better term, then you're good, right?
Yeah.
And I think, again, that's in any industry. You just have to pick which one will best work with you and your family.
So Rachel, I know, look, I've been self-employed for 30 some years.
Yeah, you've been doing this a while.
And thank goodness, my wife has been that support home, with the kids. And,
That's awesome.
I try to always make sure that was at the games and things like that. But you're right. I mean, they're grown up now and they're moved out and they have lives of their own, and you can never get that back. Mm-hmm. I think people don't realize the commitment, the dedication to being self-employed. And I think you said it, in any business that you start. But I think the key is, if you're thinking about getting in the business, or you're wondering whether you want to stay in the business because maybe it hasn't caught on for you, you have to decide, right? Mm-hmm. Are you going to go all in to self-employment, or are you best to have some type of job where you show up, you get a paycheck?
Oh man, I tell you what, there's been times I'm like,
have you ever thought about quitting? And was
absolutely.
there a point? But give us a point to where you were like,
I mean,
like,
what day is
serious.
it today? Yesterday? No, but
I mean, like, really serious. Have you had that conversation where you're like, man, I need to do something else?
In the beginning, a few years in, I've thought to myself, all right, is this what I want? Now I revert back to my faith and say, hey, if this is where I've gotten, let's pray on it. God's got me this far. We're going to rely on that faith to continue through into what this dream and desire is. So I kind of have had that as a fallback. I don't know if others have that as well. But then you start to think, I've already come this far. I've already put this much in. And what is the saying that it's always darkest before the dawn? So you feel like you're just about to give up. But if you just push a little bit more, boom, there's the next deal. There's the next interaction. There's the next happy, elated family. I'm getting goosebumps just saying that, thinking about those moments at the table where there's a family that's worked so hard to get into their home and you're a part of that you can't buy that feeling. You can't. And it's a high. It's like a drug. Real estate is a drug. It's my drug. And that's something that keeps me kind of going. You want more and more, and you want to help more and more and be involved more and more. So it's hard to just give up on that if you have a good history of it. Now, if you're just starting, you're like, all right, what's happening? I'd say give it one last go. Just give it one last shot. What do you have to lose? If there's a call you can make, an email you can send, a text, try it. Reach out to a mentor. See if there's something else that you're missing.
Is there a time or, would you ever recommend to somebody, you say that, it always gets darkest before the dawn, right? So, and I mean, that's a good way to think about it, especially from, if we got spiritual, right? If we really turned it around and we say, look, the enemy wants to stop us before we, really break through, right? So you can look at that. But then I've also said to people on the other side that, no matter how far down a road you go, when you realize it's the wrong road, turn around because you may not be able to get there. Right. I mean, it reminds me of like a cartoon that I saw at one time, where the guy was getting gas and he was asking for directions. He was headed down this road and it was a couple different frames, but the guy was like, he was asking him how to get somewhere. And the guy was kind of like shaking his head and he was kind of like pointing this way and that way. And then he just finally looked at the guy and said, look, buddy, you need to turn around because you can't get there on this road from here. Right. Yeah. So is there a time when when knowing what you know now, breaking through, actually making it financially, which is the biggest thing?
Yeah, I was going to say, when you're at the point where the return on your investment, whether it be financial, time, it's too far. For example, even with some clients, there's a buyer client I have that I think I was pregnant with my second kid when I started looking, and every few months we would do something. And I was like, all right, I've already put this much time into it. I'm not going to give up now. And that's the typical mindset that I have, right? We're already this far. We are not giving up now. We are going to get this guy in a home. But then it gets to year 3 and 4 and it's like, all right, what's more valuable? Me continuing to drive around for the next few months, years at this point, based on past history? Or do I turn around right now and go back and have dinner with my family? That's when you make the decision and you feel it. Yeah. You kind of feel it where it's like, all right, now financially only, everybody knows their own financial situation, but it is it's an investment. You want to see a return on your investment, but you got to put that initial investment in. So, but there have been moments where it's like, all right, if we're about to claim bankruptcy, or if, my spouse is like, this is it, you may want to pause, put your license in referral, regroup, and then come back.
I want to talk about the actual, act a little bit of performing real estate services and things like that. Get your opinion on some things because, a lot of agents, I mean, we're not really highly regarded, right? I mean, I think at one point I had somebody tell me, well, we've heard it numerous times, where they say, a real estate agent is like a used car salesman or something. Not that I'm saying used car salesman's bad. I've known some used car salesmen, but the point is they're meaning that in a derogatory way.
Well, they're meaning that until they need somebody to keep them from getting sued.
Right, exactly. Until they've had a situation. But, but I want to get into that because I know the worth of an agent, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I have a real estate brokerage because I know people need what I provide and what you provide. But let's talk a minute about the financial aspect, because a lot of agents, they think that they can do this part-time.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, so they may even say,
especially today,
they're getting in their, right, they're like, oh, I want to start my business, but I don't want to give up my day job until this gives me money.
Which is understandable. Then come up with another plan, because real estate is a full-time commitment. At least in my world, that may be different for somebody else.
Right.
But let me tell you, if I'm hiring somebody to sell my house and it's my biggest investment, you better believe I want somebody that lives, eats, breathes real estate, knows the market day in, day out, is interacting with other agents is out there on buying and selling, not just listing. I feel like I got to get out there with the buyers every once in a while and feel what's happening in the streets too. You need that educational standpoint from being out there. It is not a part-time gig. If you can afford it to be a part-time gig, you're well-to-do and you want to dabble in it, okay, cool. But if this is something that you need to survive and make a career off of, plan ahead, because you're going to be working. I always tell people I work 48 hours a day. So there's that. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I mean, we won't hire part-time agents here at our brokerage. And, for that reason, I mean, we kind of think that you're harmful to the client. So, and I think that part of the bad rap that we have is that, everyone knows somebody with a real estate license, right?
Yeah.
And then what happens
Bobby
is
Joe Sue, everybody's got an agent.
I mean, they end up mom's best friend, your aunt, right? Or your friend from school or whatever. And I think the situation is that, especially when you're dealing with, you had said when you sell somebody's house, but it's, I guess as a buyer's agent, even still, where if you're selling your house, they might want to interview the neighborhood expert because it's their money. But a buyer's agent, kind of doesn't feel like there's any skin in the game, right? Because they're not writing a check to a real estate agent per se. So they may, lower their guard a little bit. But then when something goes wrong, the first one they want to do is blame.
Would you like an example?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
All right. So here's a good example on not having an agent that, whether it's in fact, I think this other agent might have been full time. However, doesn't matter. Actually, she was a broker. So had a transaction represented the seller. There was an issue where the buyer needed some things, and there was a problem with appraisal, or I forget what it was, but there was a discrepancy. I knew right away what the solution was. It would be putting my seller, we would have to get something from the seller in order to make it happen. But this other agent didn't think of that. This other agent didn't know that there were 3 other things that could have been done that I knew about, but I couldn't tell her that because I didn't want to jeopardize my client, right? So I knew about these moves already. However, then I tell my client, hey, these are things that they could do that would get us to the table. You want to relist right now, go through another 30 days of marketing, 30 days of escrow. We're probably not going to get the same list price. Or if we give a little love here, a couple thousand, we'll get us to the table. Buyer will be satisfied. You're still walking away over appraisal price. And guess what? We're closing next week versus waiting another 30 to 60 days. So to come up with those, it's a chess game. And if you don't know how to move your pieces, and if you don't have somebody who knows how to move your pieces, you're most likely going to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a chess game. And houses are the catalyst. Remember that.
Yeah.
So knowing things like that, and I tell you what, she was ready to walk away. And I was like, hey, I could relist it and most likely get multiple offers again, but we're already here. I'm not going to have my sellers pay another mortgage payment. Let's just give them a little whatever. What buyer agent would think to ask for a stupid credit? But it's things like that.
Yeah.
That's like, hey, move this puzzle piece here. It's like Tetris too.
Yeah.
You kind of have to make the pieces fit together. And you want somebody that knows how to do that.
Yeah. And
has
if you're
the experience in doing it.
That's it. And I'm telling people now, because the market shifted. And if an agent hasn't sold a property or negotiated a property, even in the last 30 to 45 days, they're out of touch.
Yep.
Because
it changes every week, Todd.
It changes. So I even tell people when they're interviewing agents to make certain that they're asking, when was the last transaction?
Yeah, that's a good one.
When, not just sold, but when did it go under contract? Because the negotiations change, and these part-time agents that are maybe doing 1 or 2 or 3 transactions a year, it may have been 6 or so months ago, a completely different ballgame.
Now is the time of survival of the fittest. I don't know if you want to put that out there, but between agents. We'll talk about that. But
what I'd like to talk about, kind of along the same lines of what you were referring to with your experience here with the buyer's agent. Do you feel? I mean, getting back to the point that, we're trying to attribute every day or contribute to the real estate industry as professionals, you and me, right? We're full-time. We live and breathe this stuff. Do you feel that a lot of the agents, because, and I kind of alluded to earlier on that there's a low barrier to entry into this business, right? Yeah. And, a lot of people will get their license because they feel like there's nothing else for them. I hear people, well, if this fails for me, I'll get my real estate license. Or, if I don't go to college, I can always sell real estate. And where you and I, this is a career choice for us, right? Do you feel that in general, you deal with agents on the opposite side all the time? Do you feel in general that it's true what a lot of people say about real estate agents, not, adding much to value to a lot of the deals, not you and not me.
I'm like, how do I decipher my
I'm talking about moving forward, like, telling people, that may be interested in getting in this business, or somebody that's considering getting out, or somebody that's been in the business and they're trying to recalibrate themselves. Do you feel that most buyers and sellers get proper representation?
I'm glad you asked that. I feel if they choose the right broker, yes. But there's times where I'm like, whoa, like, how are you representing somebody on the other side?
Is that more often than not?
I tell you what, I will, when I'm writing an offer on something, I'll go and see who the agent is. And if I know them, I'm like, okay, cool. This is going to be a great transaction. This is da-da-da. You already know what to expect. If not, you do a little research on that agent. That's the upper hand. If you know how they maneuver, you study your opponent,
right, because sometimes you want them to be bad. You can manipulate 1000%. The situation. I mean, come on.
Yes.
Right.
I'm a little bit more cutthroat than some of the agents out there. Double-edged sword. However, unfortunately, I think we have gotten a very bad rap because of lack of representation, because of lack of knowledge from some of these power players that are out here. Or, hey, they get to a point in their career where it's just like, all right, it's another, let me just put it in the computer and walk away. And then stuff happens with some agents, like myself maybe, that come in and left hook, and you're like, whoa, what's happened? So yeah, I think unfortunately, sometimes agents do get a bad rap. I try not to look at that so much, or maybe listen to it, take that into consideration and figure out, all right, how do I not be that agent? How do I be the best of the best? So that I can sleep at night knowing that my clients are getting the best representation. But unfortunately, I think that there has been, I guess, would a stigma be the right word to use there? With agents, because the mindset of, let me put it in the computer, walk away, put a sign out front, not realizing that Zillow really does all that for you now. So you got to be better. You got to be great.
It's garbage in, garbage out, though.
Exactly.
So when things aren't right in Zillow, it's
behind
because
the scenes, you got to be good at it. And know what it's all about, because really, like I said, houses is just a catalyst. It's all the contracts, negotiations, and lack of litigation behind the scenes that you want to be good at.
So you had said you'd kind of started by, a lot has to do with the broker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to have a good mentor. You got to have somebody to look up to, a good leader, right? Someone that has the answers. And if they don't have the answers, by golly, they know how to get them quick enough, because time is of the essence in real estate. And I think you've got to have someone with good energy, right? Because this can be a drag out business if you let it be. So if you don't have someone that's encouraging you, showing you the positives, and helping you grow, pouring into you, then it's going to be a lot harder. Not going to be impossible. You can motivate yourself, but
Oh, I agree. I mean, I get calls from agents at 10 o'clock at night, and and I say, what I tell my agents is, if I don't hear from you, you're not working.
Yep.
Because no matter how many transactions you've had, or how long you've been in the business, iron sharpens iron, right? Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, if you're negotiating and putting those pieces of the puzzle together, you have to make sure that you have a good leader and a good mentor or manager that you can call, strategize the deals.
To catch you when you fall, because you're going to fall. You're going to fall.
Even the best agents are going to make mistakes.
You want to, that's how you learn, but you don't want to do it at you don't want to sacrifice your clients doing it. So you always want to have someone that's smarter than you and stronger and in all those elements to catch and guide as you go through these things.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. And be there, like you said, at 10 o'clock at night. I know I can call my broker, text her, whatever, and I'll get a response. Yeah. At any time, really.
Well, she knows that you're not calling just to say, hey, what are you doing tonight?
Not typically, no. I only call her when I have problems.
Right.
So that's probably why she's like, oh man, Rachel's calling me. That means there's an issue, because I'm too busy selling real estate to call her and say, hey, so.
Yeah.
But
so Rachel, I'm sure everybody's really appreciating everything that you've said so far, right? We're getting up to, you've been doing this for a while now, and you get it. You've got good leadership and things like that. But let's talk about, somebody listening may wonder, what is it like being a real estate agent? A lot of people don't go into the office every single day, or you have an office at home.
Correct.
Where, years ago, the big thing was you went to the office because that's where leads were coming in. Mm-hmm. So you have to farm your own business. You have to get your own business, your own leads, keep in touch with all your clients. Give us an idea. Just kind of tell us, what's it like for you, in the day-to-day of things?
Every single day is different. Every single day brings something new to learn and overcome. I start my day pretty early most days. I can get down into my office and do my computer work before the kids wake up, right? So we're talking about from my position of a day in the life, you're juggling life as well, working from home and family from home is stressful. So now it's to the point where I'm like, I want to go into the office just to get away from the family. So I come down, I do my office stuff, usually for a few hours in the morning, and then I do kid time. So you're seeing a blended mix that real estate does afford you the opportunity to do family and career. And then I'll usually do the gym for 2 hours, which is my therapy. And then I go back and work some more. I'll film, I'll do marketing, I'll do appointments, things like that. There have been days where I am gone till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. It's consistently juggling expectations and your own life in between. And, you got to take the good with the bad.
You work 7 days a week?
I work 8 days a week. Yes, I work 7 days a week.
You work them all?
I work them all.
Yeah,
I do. I think the older I get, that's dialed back a little bit. I'm blessed and fortunate enough as I grow that I can take some time to have family time.
How about vacations? You work on vacations?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. There's been some, I'll try and do one a year now where I'll have my assistant, we all prep and all of my agents on standby just to know, hey, if I don't talk to me. Because there's been times where I'm on the boat and I think Jeremy remembers that. We've been on the boat and I'm sitting here everybody's got to stop partying, put the drinks down, turn the music off. I got to take a phone call, so that is life. And that does get tiring after a while. I love it. That's the passion of it. That's hey, you get what you signed up for. But there are times where I've got to budget my time accordingly and say, hey, you know what? I'm a fucking human. Bleep that one out. I'm a human. I need time also to be a human and still remember why I'm doing this. Yeah. And that's for family, right? For happiness.
So how do you handle the ups and downs? So you say you sit down at your desk and you say you sit at the desk and you do marketing. What kind of things do you do? How would somebody get business?
I'm a little different with my marketing. I think, as you've seen, I'm not the typical realtor when it comes to stuff like that. I like to do a lot of fun stuff with video and social media. And now let me ask you something, consumer. Think on this, viewer. If you're going to start looking for a house, where do you go? To your phone, right? You're going to get on your phone. You're going to type into a platform that's either Zillow, Realtor.com, one of those.
Trulia.
Right? Trulia. Everything you're doing is in your hand on your phone. So do we think that maybe mailing a postcard is going to catch the attention of somebody, or is an ad as they're scrolling going to catch their attention? Things like that. So my business, I focused a lot on internet marketing and being more prevalent in social media because that's where a lot of my clientele is. It doesn't cost anything to make a video. You're already on the phone. Go ahead and shoot. Hey guys, this is what's happening with the market in XYZ territory today. Boom, post it. Didn't cost you anything. Then you can pay to boost them and things like that. So there's different ways now versus even 5 years ago. When I started, it's completely different that you can do to market yourself and your knowledge base. And then in turn, as you start to sell properties, you can market in that facet as well. So I'm pretty big on the social media. And
how much time a day do you spend in marketing?
Every day is different for me. A few hours.
Every day?
Not every day, maybe every other.
Okay.
But for me, I'll put a lot of content together. It depends on if I have an editor or whatever else. It just depends on who's doing what. But then you've got to do the posting and the resharing. And filming the content is the easy part. It's the editing and the posting. So that's what takes some time. But if you like to do it, I love to be on Facebook and social media, So if it's an easy, this is fun. And plus you want to give value. You want to share with people, hey, heads up, this is what's happening in the industry. By the way, people, the real estate industry is the backbone of the economy. So pay attention.
Right.
This is what's happening.
Yeah.
And you're sharing and you're giving little nuggets of value and info. Right. I love to do that. And then people ask for more.
It's one of the largest markets. It's what drives the inflation market or the CPI index more than anything else, shelter inflation.
And if you have your hand in that, then, hey, you're not only showing people what's happening in the real estate market, but you're giving them insight to the economy as well so that they can brace for life.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen in the future? I've seen so much change since 1989, right? So when I started out in the real estate industry swinging a hammer, right? I mean, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have, the things that we have now. Zillow wasn't a thing, it wasn't.
Zillow wasn't even when I started.
Yeah.
It just kind of started to,
I mean, it's, it was like just another, we used the Real Estate Book, which is an expensive publication.
Yep.
And you had to be in every one of them to give your listing the most exposure. What do you think is on tap for the real estate industry? Like, agents, do you think we're going to see the need for less real estate agents in the future?
Yep, I think. And I've talked with some other mentors on this too that have been doing this way longer than I have. And the consensus is, hey, we're in full-fledged in a digital world. I can have anything I want to buy delivered to my doorstep. I have sold houses from my couch with my investors. I'll go ahead, write the offer. Hey, Rach, I want this house. And I don't even have to leave my couch. That's going to be more and more prevalent as well. Where real estate agents are going to be important is going to be the interaction, that human connection and the hand holding through, right? Anybody can buy anything. But when you start to get through the contracts, and hey, if you do this here, you can do this here. And the brain power of it, that's where our job is going to be important. And then the resources and the connections, because you can't just click a button and make sure that you're getting the best thing. You're going to want to talk to somebody about it. Hey, do you think this rate's okay? Hey, what do you think about this house? Do you think I should do this inspection, XYZ? Because really unlocking doors is not our skill set. In fact, that's one of my worst skill sets. I always screw that up. However, one of my best skill sets is negotiating and making you a lot of money. Right. So, hey, well, take the trade.
Right.
Right. But really, it's, I think we're going to be more and more valuable with our experience, our mindset, our knowledge base, and having connections and relationships. I mean, heck, half my buyers got into their houses during that big crash because I knew the other agent. I don't know if you can publish that.
Yeah.
But, for real, it's because I had that connection. They knew I was going to get at the table. I'm not going to mess around. And, I think if you've got people like that on either side, it makes for a smoother transaction, but also the best for everyone involved. Sellers getting the most money, buyers getting the best deal, they're getting the house, everybody's happy. Those types of situations.
Well, guys, I hope that you have learned an amazing amount from Rachel, and I want to kind of land this plane, bring it home, and I want to get back to talking about, advice for someone that maybe is considering getting into becoming a real estate agent. And because as you heard Rachel say, it's not easy. The stress is real. The demands are real. I mean, I work 7 days a week, and I've done it for years and years and years. On vacation, it's the same thing. This is not the kind of business that you can turn off, because if you've ever bought or sold a home before, you don't want to hear that I'm going away on vacation. I'm sorry, but I can't list your house now, or if it is listed, then I'm just bailing out on you. So we need to stay involved. But Rachel, I'm kind of landing this plane. What tips or advice, can you close with? We had talked about, some of the biggest stressors. I would say for myself, the biggest thing is have that conversation with your significant other or your spouse, or look at your situation, because that could be a noose around your neck. And if you're going to the office or you're, month after month, you're not producing, you may be getting close, like we said, that, kind of dark before the dawn, but you may not ever realize it. So, some final thoughts.
Real estate isn't for the faint of heart. However, it is amazing, and it opens up so many opportunities if you have the wherewithal to get through it. And I think my biggest piece of advice is not only to not give up, But to arm yourself with knowledge, right? Don't go into the industry thinking, okay, I'm going to list this house, I'm going to unlock some doors, I'm going to make a huge payday, which may be the case for some people. But really where your client's going to get value is going to be getting value and knowledge from you, right? So even as a new agent, read some books, read the stats, get a pulse on the market, talk to agents. When I first got licensed, I looked forward to calling other agents to ask about their listings and properties just so I could hear how they talked, just so I could learn the lingo.
Yeah.
Because I was a stubborn new agent. I didn't want anybody to teach me. I wanted to learn on my own. And that's exactly what I did the hard way. But just engaging with agents, especially seasoned agents, learning the market, staying up on the economy market and just not giving up. I say,
I love that. That's great advice.
That's kind of what I say, and just
because you're
going.
right. That's all you can offer is your knowledge. And if you
your
don't
knowledge
have any,
and putting your clients' interests, and this is what I say to everybody: we are client centric. Put your clients first, and you will not go wrong.
Yeah. Well, there you go, guys. Rachel Smith, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Until next episode. See you soon.